I didn't have anything particular I wanted to talk about this week, so this is just going to be another one of those more podcast-like videos on a more general topic. Feel free to drag me down into like the third monitor and open up a game of League or something. I mean, or just go ahead and close down the video entirely even. Productivity is an interesting concept that's been something that I think more and more about it as the years go on. It's so abstract that I may find it difficult to properly voice my opinions on the notion, but I'll try my best. Productivity to me is something that makes me feel like I've accomplished something in a day. But sometimes it feels almost arbitrary what activities I deem as being productive and what activities I deem as not productive. The most logical approach would be to consider any activity that furthers your career or your marketable skills as productive, but that's not always the case. The world that we live in is dominated by money, and a lot of the time, a person's worth in society is tied to how much money they can accumulate. But productivity isn't something that we should only apply to activities that make money or can help you make money in the future. To me, productivity, it's more open than that. For example, I think of making these YouTube videos as something that is productive, despite the fact that my channel is obviously going nowhere fast. And sometimes I feel like I have to force myself to make a video for a given week. Nonetheless, I'm always left with a sense of fulfillment when I complete a YouTube video, no matter how bad it is. Even though many people would say that it's an unproductive activity, I think it's good. So I think the way we measure productivity shouldn't be based on what other people or society as a whole think. Rather, it's what activities are productive or unproductive. They just depend on the individual person. To be honest, even things like playing video games or like watching TV could be considered productive from a certain point of view. Because the person, you're engaging with these activities and you're learning more things about certain interests or niches, and you can use that to relate to others. I mean, everything we consume is a small part of what makes us who we are, and I'm a firm believer that things like video games are like art, and that each new experience we give ourselves, it helps to enrich us as people. But then if everything is at least a tiny bit productive, then what becomes the issue is that some activities are more valuable than others in terms of productivity. Sure, I may believe that playing video games isn't entirely useless, but still, I'm not going to make the argument that you should do nothing but play video games all day, every day, and then call that a big productive day. I mean, when different activities have different values to how productive they feel to complete, then it just all comes down to how you manage your time doing each of these activities. Some guy once said that you should do everything in moderation, right? I think that's probably the best approach here. The time we spend on things is always limited, though. Time is a human's most valuable resource, and we're always running out of it. So the question becomes, how do you spend your time the most effectively? Well, working nonstop is the simple solution to this. I mean, despite my channel name, I'm not an actual robot, so I can't very well work myself to death. While video games and things of that nature may not be the most productive, they allow me to de-stress and take a break from other productive activities that I want to do less. The trouble for me has always been balancing my video games, schoolwork, video editing, video game creation, voice acting, watching YouTube and shows, and like social time and time that I spend with my girlfriend and other people. It's always been a struggle to balance all those things. Besides watching something and playing video games, as long as I accomplish a little bit of those things in a day, then I'll be happy. But here's the next obstacle. If I only accomplish a tiny amount of these things per day, then I'm never going to see improvement with my video editing ability, or if I'm trying to make a video game, it's never actually going to come out. You know, I know this pitfall the best because a lot of things I try to do perish because of my poor time management and my procrastination. I hope this video doesn't come off as me, proclaiming that I have all the answers to productivity issues, because the reason I'm speaking on this is try to rationalize my own behavior as well, and just because I think it's an interesting topic to delve into. But anyway, the way to solve time management issues is often with deadlines and things like that. which comes in two types, mandatory and self-imposed. If anyone actually pays attention to my channel, then highly unlikely, but you would notice that I upload every week since February. Usually self-imposed deadlines don't really work on me that well, but I think it's because I make this schedule public, I feel more inclined to focus on uploading every week. No one even has to watch my videos. As long as I'm publicly committed to something, it'd be embarrassing for me to stop, which is a pretty good motivator. I'm not going to promise that I will never stop uploading. We'll just have to see how things go. I'm not going to sacrifice my education for YouTube. Could I make better videos if I removed this arbitrary once-a-week deadline I've placed on myself? Probably. But then I'd likely stop uploading entirely, as I'd have no way to hold myself accountable, and there isn't any other incentive for me to keep posting. So, I mean, yeah, all in all, I've become a lot more cognizant of my productivity in the past few years, and I feel a bit depressed when a day goes by where I haven't done much of anything. All I gotta say is, despite all this, you gotta make sure that you don't get caught up too much in what being productive behavior is. I know I just did a whole video about it, but don't get too nitty-gritty on what's productive and what's not, because you'll just make yourself go crazy. As long as you're passing school or you're paying your bills, I think you're doing just fine. You gotta enjoy life, and while that being said, it doesn't hurt to be working on some passion projects or side hobbies or skills with your time in the background. There's a special kind of fulfillment that can only be obtained from being productive, and oftentimes that productivity comes from spending time with people you care about. Peace.